All right, so I am Jason Liggett. I'm the UPTV production coordinator for the city of Urbana. We partner with Urbana High School Broadcasting Program to produce a variety of programs, and we've been doing this for a number of years. I just want to give you a little bit of intro about what we do at our high school level. I'm not a school district employee, but I actually work at the high school. We also have a couple of other presenters from different communities here that are going to talk after me, as well as some of the student producers that actually produce the videos in Merrill. So from the very beginning, we began broadcasting Board of Education meetings live on UPTV back in 1995. This was kind of just allowed us to, get involved with the schools in some way or fashion. Obviously, we all know Board of Education meetings and city board meetings aren't all that interesting, but it was good to get that information out there. We also had an Urbana School District representative on our UPTV commission, so they would let us know of any activities that are happening in the school that we might want to get involved with and start videoing. We started recording Urbana High School graduation ceremony in 2007. That's when I started at UPTV. We decided, that's a good start, but we actually want to do more with the actual students and inside the school than just Board of Education meetings. The graduation ceremonies were very popular, and that's what kind of prompted us to start doing more. We worked with UHS staff to recruit students to start producing basketball games in 2007 as well. So we now work with the journalism class, but before it was just me going to high school, and I talked to the principal and said, hey, a lot of people, we got good feedback on the graduation ceremony. We want to start producing high school sports as well. They lend themselves well to television. And she's like, well, we don't really have any funding. We don't really have a teacher that wants to do it. It's like, all right, I'll come there. I'll be there on Friday night. I'll set up my camera. I just need a couple of students to help me out. Well, we don't really have a class. I don't care. Just get me any student. So I got a couple of students that would get into mischief at times and didn't really have a place in the high school. I said, give them to me. We'll do it. It'll be fun. So that's how we kind of started. We began working with the high school journalism class in 2012, which allowed us to do even more programs. There were more students available to us. We started streaming those games, and not just doing basketball games. We picked up football games. Now we do football, wrestling, girls volleyball, girls basketball, girls softball, girls soccer, boys soccer, and boys baseball. So we've expanded, so it's a lot of long nights and busy nights at Urbana High School. Students also began producing their own talk show in 2003. They created their own studio and production room, which is kind of cool. I worked for the city, and they built a council chambers when they built the building, which is great for city council meetings. And then they had 2 storage closets onto each side of the council chambers. Well, one of those storage closets became my office, and the other storage closet eventually became our production room and our studio. And that's the exact same thing that happened here. They had a classroom, and they had one storage closet that became their production room. Then they took over the other storage closet. They put up a green screen. They got lights. They got microphones. They started producing their own television show there. Here's a couple of our students at the high school football game. This is our very first football broadcast. So they were very excited, and they dressed to match and wanted to be on camera the whole time. And I'm like, we got to show parts of the game too, guys. Here's just a clip from our one of our recent broadcasts. This was the 8th grade championship game, but kind of our production value is, we have microphones and everything that they wear in headsets, but generally for basketball and football games, it tends to be just one camera, because we only have a number. Even though we work with the journalism class, it's only a weighted part of their curriculum, so they're not graded on the actual work they do. There's 30 kids in the journalism class, but we usually only have 4 or 5. And at times, those 4 or 5 students are the athletes on the floor, so they can't help us on certain nights.
It was nearly lost. Now it's Chase Adams inside.
Good defense.
Blocked by Boswell.
That's Kyler Boswell.
Kyler Boswell's not a tall guy, but he played fundamental basketball. Sails a 3, and he knocks it in! The crowd loves it in a timeout. Coach Butler. Everyone on the Tiger side on their feet.
6-point game, Joey, 6-point game.
Oh my!
So those were 2 of our high school students that do the commentary there, and then our other high school students that's running the camera. And it used to be when I first showed up and there was just me and one or two of the other kids, I was running the camera or I was running the computer, I was doing something, and now it's like I just get to sit back and eat popcorn and watch the game and listen to their commentary. So that's pretty cool that it's grown to that point. We also work with the middle school. They have an after-school program. We do that about once every couple of years. We'll work with the after-school program. We've done going out to businesses and filming public service announcements, working with the park district. We also did a newscast with the students that was really wildly popular that we're looking to in the future to kind of bring that to our high school level as well, to where they're producing a semi-regular newscast, probably started off about once a month or so. We, as staff, always help produce the Board of Education meetings. Now we have our journalism students that also run the basketball games and football games and all the sports. They begin producing the Board of Education meetings and library board meetings. We think this really helps with letting the Board of Education members know that, hey, this program exists, the city's in the schools, and this is what the kids are getting out of it, because they see the students there every week or every other week producing their Board of Education meetings. I also go and produce regular news feature stories about district activities and work regularly with the CU one-to-one mentoring program, producing videos about the mentoring program. I think this really helps in just the marketing of, hey, you know, UPTV and the cities are in the schools. I wish that the students, I could pull them out of class and get them to go film the things that I get to go film, but that's not really the case. So I go there, but it also gives me another outlet to tell them about the program that we have. Here is the middle school students for the after-school program filming their newscast. That's actually in our council chambers, and we've pulled up a green screen and everything that we're filming there. This is probably my favorite day ever at work. So we hosted an arts summer camp from the park district, ages 5 to 12 for a morning. And the thing about 5 to 12-year-olds, I can talk to a 5-year-old and be really interesting to him, but the 12-year-old thinks I'm a moron, and vice versa. So, you know, there's an age difference there to where what I'm saying to entertain a 5-year-old isn't going to entertain a 12-year-old. So it was cool to have them all at once. It was pretty chaotic. There was 40 of them total and one of me. So that was fun. Here's Stephen Thompson. He's an Urbana High School junior. He's filming the Board of Education meetings. And as you can see, their control room in the boardroom is just right, there is no control room. They're right out there with the Board of Education meetings. The board president always thanks whoever's running the cameras at the start of the meeting, and then one of our students started to go out in the middle of the room, and now they all go out to the middle of the room and wave to the camera at home once they're introduced, so that's pretty cool. I did not tell them to do that. This is one of the news feature pieces that I was talking about. We did this last week, and what my plan is for eventually the high school students to start doing more and more of these rather than me.
Is a long-standing tradition in which students participate in 4 physical activities.
Yeah, 50-meter dash, and we start there just with a quick sprint, and then the kids move over to the 400-meter run, which is one lapper on the track. And when they finish there, they move over to the broad jump, which is a standing jump. And then they move lastly over to the baseball throw, which they get 2 throws there to control the ball as far as they can.
So you kind of get the idea of the feature pieces that I'm looking to, you know, have the students to start producing, and that's something that I have our what we call our head of broadcasting, a high school senior. He's graduating. He's going to Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois, to pursue a broadcasting degree. But we're going to kind of reshuffle some assignments. You know, it's great that they're running the library board meetings, but I would rather have my part-time camera operators run the library board meetings and have the students out there producing feature stories like that. I think that'll probably help them longer term in the future as far as if they're trying to get jobs at local news stations and things of that nature. We also started streaming our games on Facebook Live this semester, the spring semester, so baseball and softball and girls soccer games have been on our Facebook Live, and that's been a tremendous improvement. Before they were on NFHS Network, I don't know how many of you are familiar with NFHS Network, but it's a paid subscription service that markets itself to high schools around the nation. But if you want to watch a game, it's going to cost you $9 or $10 to watch a game. If you want to subscribe to the whole year, it's like $150. And, you know, it's great that, you know, that's out there, but I want to give it to them for free if I can. So that's what we're doing with Facebook Live. Our first Facebook Live was baseball game, and we got lucky. It ended 13-12. Urbana won with a walk-off home run, so it was like the perfect game for us to cover. Plenty of action. But that got 1,000 views just when it was Facebook Live, whereas when we were on NFHS Network, like 3 or 4 people would pay the price to watch the game. So it kind of reached a new audience to where, you know, everybody's on Facebook. Probably half of you haven't heard of NFHS Network, nor has anyone else. So you have to, you know, they're already on Facebook. So we went where the people were rather than trying to direct them to NFHS Network. And here's a quick clip of one of our softball games.
And in stride, Megan Weiss walked in the second, grounded out too short in the third, and reached on an error. And inning a go. Into the parking lot, and it hits a car. That was a good one. Not if you own the car, but it made a loud noise. Looked like it caught the back bumper of a Volkswagen.
And I love when the kids go off track. I have so much great video of them where they're like, tonight, this is where I'm going after the game for dinner. It has nothing to do with the game. Those are the best parts. They've also branched out. This is Joey Wright. He's the voice of the Tigers Media Network, who you heard on the clips that we played. And he's with Superintendent Don Owen. And this was a Halloween special that we filmed where they're taking a tour of the haunted 4th floor of the Urbana High School, which is now like an HVAC system. But before it, long ago, it was a classroom and things of that nature. So it's just cool that we have the support of the superintendent and the Board of Education. So that's all I really have for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll save questions for end so we can get through all of our presenters. Are you guys going to go next? You're up here. You might as well.
I might as
Is
well,
that cool?
yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Sorry, we're all a little disorganized. Yeah, you can hit the light, Hunter. Thank you. My name's Nathan Meyer. I work with Merrill Area Public Schools and the Merrill Productions team. Most of you know my boss, Deb Burnett. Say hi. So I've been working with the school district and the channel for the last 8 to 9 years. I was a junior in high school, actually, hence why I look a little younger than most of my colleagues up here. So I started as a student, as Anthony and Draco also are, well, Draco was a student as of last year. It's been great having to work with all these guys and gals too. It's important. We feel that it's important that these guys get these opportunities because, I mean, look at what can end up happening for them. I mean, we have had students that have gone on to now work for local news stations, in, you know, big cities. So it's nice that we give these guys an opportunity to look somewhere else other than the traditional route of college, because they really do get that opportunity. I'm drawing blanks right now, I apologize. It's nice having the center in Merrill Area Public Schools too, because we do a lot of the stuff. I know he was just talking that they're working, you know, doing basketball, baseball. We've done all of that. We just started doing multi-camera productions this year with all of our sports, regional sports, stuff like that. I started last year actually a talk show with our superintendent, who has been very supportive of us all the way through it, everything that we've done, and he has been nothing but helpful to us. He's also helped commentate our homecoming game this last year, because he was a football coach in Arizona when he was down there, so that was very awesome to get to work with him on that one. Getting these guys to come in and work too, I mean, Anthony here is only a sophomore in high school. That's, I don't know if any of you know how high schoolers are nowadays, but sometimes they aren't the most cooperative with wanting to do stuff outside of school. So to get guys like him and a few of our other workers that are always willing to come out and help, it's awesome. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Anthony first here to give his perspective on why he even joined our little ragtag group.
Okay, well, my name is Anthony, to start with. I started with media productions because I just felt like I wanted to do something with cameras and stuff because I love photography. And from joining media productions in Merrill, it's pretty much branched off that now I have a larger skill set with technology and other stuff with media. I like building computers and stuff, and some of the stuff that we do in media productions ties greatly into what we do with cameras and all that kind of technology stuff, and it's really nice to have a place that we can go and learn more about the technology and branch off from there.
Alright, well, hello. My name is Draco Fink. It's nice to meet y'all tonight. Well, I first got into media productions in my junior year, the second semester. At that point, I was just looking for an elective. Wasn't really sure. I was looking for something kind of fun to try, a little bit of a break from my normal classes. And a friend of mine convinced me to actually join. And boy, was it an experience. Just the amount of invaluable experience that I've joined, or that I've gathered from media productions alone, is just astounding. Like, there's so many things that we have gotten to work with that most schools normally wouldn't, such as our TriCaster system, that gives us single-handedly the ability to do these multi-camera productions and live stream them all at once. So, you know, and it's pretty crazy to be able to take something like that and then use it to help our community. And I thought that was pretty valuable. And, like, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. A lot of coffee's keeping me awake right now. I apologize. But yeah, after joining media productions, kind of sparked a love for film and photography, working with sounds and editing all these grand productions, even though they may just be for a few people viewing in our community. Still feels like we're part of a close-knit group and an integral part of our community. Just to be able to supply our community with things like the Board of Education committees and the library boards, all the school games, much like the Urbana High School does. And I'm thankful for that, you know. Well, thank you for your time.
I think another thing to point out too is that Merrill has a unique opportunity that not only is this like a little club that they get to do, it's also a class that Deborah Nett teaches, and they're actually getting graded for all these fun projects that they get to do. And it's unique, I can't state how unique it is that not only has the city of Merrill allowed this to happen, but that Merrill Area Public Schools allows this to continue on its 18th year, I believe. Yeah, 18 years of, you know, students just coming through, and I mean, they get to have their fun projects, but then they still sit down and do all these serious things like graduation coming up in 2 weeks. I don't know when you guys have graduation coming up here, but I know we it's a big production for us, and our principal loves it every year. So I think that's all we have right now, and I think you're ready.
Can I ask a question about sports coverage?
Yeah.
Do you have any trouble with, do you have to get some permission from a conference, for example, to record those events? And if so, how difficult is that to get?
We have not had to get any permission for filming those. I don't know about you, if you have any issues getting that. I know we have not had any issues getting any rights to film anything. As a matter of fact, it's been show up with the camera and start recording, just let it run, and we have not heard anything at all. We actually just got the opportunity to do regional games that were hosted in Merrill, all of which Merrill, in this last year, all of which Merrill ended up winning, so that was always fun too. So it's always more fun when they win, right?
Unfortunately, Urbana Sports isn't as thriving as our broadcast program of sports. But we haven't had any issues with regular season games. Anything that's going to go to the state level or even the regional level, usually IHSA has their own professional broadcast crew. They actually partner with Comcast Sportsnet out of Chicago to produce those games. So we just sit at home and watch and cheer.
Okay, I'm Will Memo with Monona Community Media. This is Justin Janis with Monona Community Media. We are literally right in the middle of Madison. So if you've ever been to Madison, we are right smack dab, right downtown area. And we serve the city of Monona and the Monona Grove School District. A lot of the similar things that everyone has said so far. I'm going to let Justin start and talk about our club.
Okay, so the club started in about, I believe, the late 70s. Started with a science teacher. That was before the partnership. In about the 90s, I believe, the partnership started. I was actually part of the club when I was in this high school, Monona Grove High School. I graduated in 2009. So this is our club picture that we took. This is pretty much all the members, minus one. He couldn't make it. So yeah, very dedicated group. Next one. This is our studio. Every year there's a tradition. We put Christmas lights up during Christmas time. Everyone loves it. It like really pops.
Oops, you want to go back?
Oh, that's fine. You know.
We like Christmas. All right.
So we do a lot of event coverage for Monona and the school district. So football, basketball, and sometimes wrestling. We also do fine arts, so orchestra, choir, and band concerts. And then community events. We have this unique white carry thing every 4th of July. Everyone watches it. It's pretty crazy. So they go through an obstacle course, and people carry their wives on their shoulders. Yeah. So, and then we got Winnebago Park concerts, and then there's Memorial Day Parade. That's Berkeley interviewing a dog. So we stream on a bunch of platforms all at once. So our most popular is YouTube, and then we just started doing Facebook Live simultaneously. And then, of course, our unwatched cable channels. Next. So we use a bunch of equipment. So this is our T-Rex made by Teradek. This allows us to stream multiple streams to different platforms. So we have 2 encoders, and then we have a decoder, which is the signal coming into our head end at the high school. And then it's going out on the 2 encoders to YouTube and Facebook. Here's our video switcher. It's a Blackmagic production studio. And then the bottom right is our encoder for our mobile kits. So if we're ever away from the studio, like we're doing football or basketball, we use that to send our video signal to that, which sends it out to the world. Next one. So here's some prices. So if you're starting from scratch, here's pretty much what you want for. So 3 cameras. I pretty much picked out pretty nice ones with 4,000 each, but you can probably get cheaper ones if you're on a budget. Most of this stuff is what we're using. The Teradeck Cube is their encoder, so if you just want to go to YouTube, you just use that and just go straight from there. You don't need the T-Rex or anything. And yeah, next one. Next. I think this is your.
Oh, yeah, well, I can sort of make a switch. So we were talking about the equipment. Any questions so far? I can take some questions if you're a little confused. Okay. So with the equipment, we have, so we are in the high school. We have a studio in the high school, and we don't have any classes in the high school, which is interesting. They have a graphic design class, I think.
We used to have a video production class, but nobody took it, so they canceled it.
Right. So there's no media offerings at the high school. So the club is really their only way to get involved with media production or journalism. There used to be journalism class, used to be a school paper, and it just wasn't popular enough, so they don't offer that either. So our club is the way to get into media. So it's a city-school partnership. I'll get into that a little bit, but there's 3 different equipment purchasing going on, which is what I thought I just mentioned. There's equipment that's actually purchased by the city that's at the high school that the city owns, because our head end is at the high school. And then there's equipment that's literally purchased by the school district that is at the high school as well. And then there's literally equipment that we purchase for the club through an activity account. So, so that's an interesting partnership. I don't know how much people get involved in that, and that's what I was going to go over, perhaps the more boring stuff, but we literally just wrote a contract this year that outlined everything that we do between the city and the school. So the superintendent sat down, the mayor sat down, the city administrator sat down, I sat down, and we put these numbers together of what we do and how we do it so that everybody understood their roles, and more so where the money's going and why. So we keep moving. So the joint ownership agreement between the Monona Grove School District and Monona, City of Monona. What basically that is for the students, they become club members, club leaders, if they want to be, if they show initiative and that's something they're interested in. And like many other people of the other schools, Irvine and Merrill, they can become city employees and get paid by the city and do school board meetings, city council meetings, plan commission meetings, help with some events if we need them to. And how this works is we're maybe a little different, maybe not. I don't know, we'll find out, maybe you guys can chime in. We also do, so we do high school events, which we mentioned before, school district events, which is, you know, maybe a district strings festival for orchestra where they bring in the whole school. School board meetings, some other things. But then we also do some AV support for the district. So all the schools, mostly the high school. So we're the guys that you see walking around the hall with a cart and a projector on it, go into a classroom. Or we're the ones helping somebody hook up a projector for a banquet that night, or a microphone or a camera. So we do a lot of AV tech support for the high school and a little bit for the school district, as well as the city. We do the same type of stuff for the city that we do for the school district, but they of course don't have sporting events and things. So what is our responsibilities per this contract that we just put together? Assist the high school staff with audio and video technology, which I just talked about. Provide AV support for special events, so same difference, same thing I was saying, banquets, pep rallies, presentations, things that are happening in the school, that's what we assist with. We're also, Justin and I are Monona Grove High School AV Club Advisors, which means that we oversee the club. We're responsible for the club. We hold a meeting for the club each week, We oversee the studio and the equipment, and we will do very much the same as everyone else here. We supervise the students, we train them, and we have them help and do the sports events and things like that. There's also morning announcements. So maybe some of the schools do that as well, where they basically is like a mock newscast for 3 or 4 minutes every morning after second hour that goes over all the pertinent high school information. Tennis won last night, soccer plays Fort Atkinson tonight. Don't forget to give your pink slips to Mrs. Smith. Free pizza at lunch today. The lunch menu is, right? So they go through all these announcements for each day that gets sent to the office, which usually consist of kind of administrative stuff that the school wants the kids to know, AP testing dates, things like that. What colleges are here today for juniors and seniors to visit. And it's like a mock newscast. So we have anchor tryouts, and we oversee those announcements each morning. And they stream on, again, YouTube, Facebook, and we have a closed circuit television inside the high school that displays this for all the classes. They all have to watch at the beginning, second hour. So the high school coverage, we kind of talked about sports, but we literally laid it out to, here's what we absolutely will cover. Anything additional is per our discretion. And in fact, everything is per our discretion, but here's what's written in the contract. 6 games based on the 2016-2017 school year. So we said we will cover 6 home conference games. If you know basketball, there's a lot more home games than just conference games. So when we're covering girls basketball and boys basketball, and we're trying to do all the home games, that can be 2 or 3 nights a week. So that's why we had to pare it down this year. And as Jason said, we have a lot of students involved in a lot of different things in the club. So if there is a choir concert the same night as a basketball game, half our club's gone. So we can't always do everything all the time. So we had to specify, what are we going to do, what are we not going to do, so that the superintendent knows what his school's doing and what's not going to be covered for his district. And the city administrator has to know, what are we paying for, what are we putting our time into. Fine arts coverage, we went over that. Choir, band, orchestra, drama, and musical. The reason I put held in auditorium, and I basically copy and pasted, was because there's band concerts and choir concerts and things that happen at different times outside of the auditorium presentations, like a spaghetti dinner, or, oh, it's an all-school pep band fun day. Well, we're not going to go record that. We record the actual, fall, spring, winter, end of year concerts that are held in the auditorium. Anything else is extra, and we just don't have time for it. So the reason I'm going over all this is because I know some people wanted to start a club, so I thought, well, if I go over an actual contract, it makes sense. But so if you have questions, or if you're like, keep moving, let me know. So school district event coverage, again, it's the board meeting, it's the graduation that everyone talked about, the pep rallies, the senior awards, and various other district presentations that they want us to cover. I put this in here because this is the exact language that is used. All event coverage is subject to and dependent upon student participation levels. If there are no students available to cover an event listed below, the director has the option to cancel coverage of that event. And similar, all WIA playoff games broadcast will be split 50-50 between the city and the school district, because you have to pay for it. So who's going to pay? Well, we want to make sure everyone's, paying for what we want. So money, that again is split between 3 different ways. City has the franchise fees that we're all aware of, and then the school district kicks in some money. And that's how this whole partnership agreement this year happened, is the city basically called out the school district and said, we're doing everything for you and we don't get much in return. So, and I'd say that they wasn't worded like that. It was far more politically correct, if you will. But that was the gist of it, was they felt like they were putting a lot of money into something that only the school was benefiting from. So we had to put these things down in writing of who's doing what, and of course ask the school district to pitch in a lot more money to make it happen. So right now there's a chunk of money that comes from the school district and a chunk of money that comes from the city, and then Justin works with the students and the sports marketing class at the high school to do sponsorships and fundraising, well, sponsorships for the club. So we do, we do like pre-game advertise. Well, we haven't done advertisements yet, but we do halftime. You know, if you want to sponsor halftime for the football game, your graphic will be up. If you want to sponsor the scoreboard graphic, our lower third graphic, your logo will be there for a certain amount of money. If you want to do pre-game, you can pay for that. Post-game, you can pay for that. And it's mainly just logos with a little 10-second VO or something.
Yeah, just for the beginning.
Yeah. So that's how we raise a little money to put into our club fund that we can then, with the students, decide what the club wants to spend money on. Whereas the city and the school district, it's mostly personnel. Justin and I are full-time, and then we employ the high school students to do the council meetings and things like that. So, you know, I think the biggest thing that we take away is that this club is vital to what we do. If there was no high school club, I'm betting the city would not have a community media department. They would utilize the money in different ways or set aside some different objectives. And the community would not benefit the way it does with the high school district partnership. So if anyone, I just feel like if anyone's gonna go that route and really try to start something up, I think that's, to me, the key is how much it's a part of the community by being a part of the school district. And getting, obviously, the big people involved, the mayor and the superintendent and the principal, and those people that make the big decisions to sit at the table. I think we made a lot of headway when we made this contract because we forced people to sit down and look at a piece of paper and look at what we were doing, exactly what we're doing, not just see the students at the school board meetings or see them up in the stands sometimes at the basketball game, but see it on paper. And I didn't put the numbers in here, but what we also did is everything we did, we put a cost to it. Well, if I'm there every day, here's the cost. If students get paid for that, there's the cost. If Justin's there, there's the cost. If we're both there, here's the cost. And we laid it out black and white. Here's what this cost, here's what this cost, here's what this cost. And when you get a mayor and a superintendent to sit down and see all that, it makes a world of difference because they don't run away from it, they appreciate it. And they appreciate it a lot more. So I would encourage you, if anyone's starting to do that or trying to formalize it, it worked out really well. It was a lot of work, but we got a lot of people involved that I don't think would have got involved if we wouldn't have done that, as far as the school board and the council. Questions? Anyone? Yeah.
Question coming from Dodgeville TV. We have kind of a similar partnership as you do with the city and the schools. One of the debates that we have right now, and I haven't really researched it or resolved it yet, is related to some of the music concerts and copyright related to that. And that's something that we're debating right now. And also student privacy relating to students giving permission to be filmed, particularly at something like graduation.
Yeah, we don't, we haven't had any problems. If we go into a classroom or something, we certainly talk to whoever the teacher is, and that's usually something we work with the administration on first, and then they let us know, you know, these students have no picture policy. As far as copyright for music or musicals or anything like that, or students at an orchestra concert, I don't know, we've just never, I think it's ingrained that they know if they're in choir or orchestra that they're gonna be, you know, on a video, and that we haven't had a problem yet, you know.
Can I say something about that too, for our school district, because we've really had issues with copyrights before and stuff too. Most of our, any music that the music department gets, they purchase the rights for that, and there's a clause in there about just that concert being videotaped or filmed or whatever, and it's usually encompassed in that in the rights that they get. The same thing with our musicals. We always check on that as well. I know with ours, like I said, it's really the group pays for that, but it would be very good for you to just ask them as well, because that's what I do for musicals. Can I have the page of where this is at? And then I go and I contact them to make sure, because it's covering yourself as well. And a lot of times students get at the beginning of the school year, I know in our district, they get a form that is a release that says you may have photographs taken, you may be videotaped. If you don't want this, you have to send this form in, and we really don't have very many of those, but then we're notified if someone can't be filmed.
Yeah, I bet your high school or school district might have that record. I'm guessing most schools do that nowadays, but I don't know. Ours certainly does. We can go and find out the students who no picture policy or whatever they call it. And I'm not hogging the mic here. Anyone else want to answer questions?
She answered it for me.
Okay.
It's great having my boss in here.
Question, Will?
Yeah.
Different topic. Do you pay rent in school, or is that part of your
Yeah, we didn't. It was
added costs?
in kind. It was in-kind contribution. The school had an in-kind contribution of the studio use, the network, internet access that we get, and some storage facilities. And the city doesn't really have in-kind necessarily, but they're fronting a majority of the money.
So they are equal. They're paying the rent, kind of.
Kind of thing where they said, well, yeah, we won't charge you rent, basically.
When the school was built in '99, they made an actual studio space, so they kind of
Lucky.
Yeah.
And for us, it ended up being, since we're a class, so we need to provide students the space so that they can do their projects, do their work. It just kind of came with the deal of we're going to have space for us to work. So with the city kind of working together with the school district and the students doing the work for the city, it kind of just came with the deal of having, hey, we're going to have this space.
So students are volunteers?
Students are volunteers with the option of getting paid if they do the proper work. So that's how it works for us. I don't know how it works for you guys.
Yeah, we basically, all high school stuff is volunteer, and then the meetings you get paid for, or if we ask you to help with like the 4th of July event or Memorial Day. But we've tried to do paid for high school things, and then it gets all weird because a sophomore's getting paid and a senior's not getting paid, and then they walk around going, I'm getting paid, and then everybody gets all weirded out, so we just quit doing that altogether.
We don't pay them for anything. Education is invaluable,
I'm having a hard time keeping staff, high school students of 10, attentive and coming to sign up for jobs. How are you addressing that? I'm sorry I missed things.
No, you're fine. So one thing that we do at Urbana is we kind of let them choose their projects. We're very heavy in sports right now because for the last 6 years I've had students come through that are all about sports. So as, maybe we'll get someone next year that's really into theater or into the arts, well, then maybe we'll branch out and start covering things that they'll like. With the Board of Education and the library board meetings, I can't imagine students finding them all that interesting, but the journalism teacher is able to assign students to that, so I'm never the bad guy.
I got something for that.
Yeah.
Some students think of our club as a second home. I always keep the door open, except for now because we're not there. So they're always eating lunch in there. So it's kind of like a close-knit community of students, and I think that really helps people to get motivated to do more events and stuff. So they have to take a lot of pride in the club. So yeah.
And I guess for us, with what I call a ragtag group. It's just basically kids that come in, go, hey, I want to see what this is about, and end up, like Draco said, bringing in their friends. And my graduating class, I think I had 6 friends in the class altogether, and we always work on stuff. And it's not for us, and I can ask a current student right now who's working for us, it's not a matter of, oh, I don't like this or I do like this. It's a matter of, hey, this needs to get done. This is the best for our station. This is best for our little club that we have. So I can hand it over to him.
Well, like Nathan was saying, most of the people in it are friends with each other. So typically we get along sometimes too well, but we try to make sure that we get done what we need to get done, and then we have our fun for the most part. Anything you'd like to add, Draco?
Yeah, I'd like to say that there's definitely an emphasis on, at least for getting more people into it, there's definitely an emphasis on student interactions.
Any other questions, I guess?
I was just curious, for your club members, is there anything that you guys aren't doing yet that you'd like to, or what area you want as coverage or events or things?
I mean, I know for us, one of the big things that we would love to do, because most of these guys, I mean, you can kind of tell us apart right now because we're all wearing the same shirts. Most of us are behind the scenes guys. We'd rather, I love being in front of the camera personally, but most of these guys would rather not, or they're just not as talented in front of it, I guess you could say. But they love doing all the pre-production. They love actually working with the cameras, the TriCaster, all the post-production with, Final Cut, Adobe. They love all that stuff, but to actually be in front of the camera and to do a production, that's what I would love to reach out to our students within Merrill, and we've tried that in the last few years with limited success, but the administration's definitely been helping us more within the last year or two. So it's really working with the administration and trying to get more and more students of a different variety to come in. I love the variety of students that we do get, though. So I don't know how you guys do with that.
Yeah, actually a lot of what Jason was saying, we do the events, and they're really heavy in all the events. I mean, we're going to go back tonight, and hopefully by the time we get back, they'll have the orchestra concert ready to go. But they do events really well, but then when you want to do a feature story and interviews or things like that, we have a hard time getting some enthusiasm behind that. So it'd be great to get more like feature stories, whether it's Teacher of the Week or whatever it may be. That would be things that could be of value to the school in that respect and the district. We also don't have a lot of students in front of the camera or behind the camera doing the voiceovers and the announcing. We don't have any students that want to do announcing of the sports, maybe one. So it'd be nice to get some of that, get into journalism, get into script writing, and we don't have that. That would be great. We also have a radio station at the city that nobody really gets involved in. So that would be nice, and that would help, of course, their announcing and their script writing as far as journalism is concerned.
Anything else? I think we're getting close to time, right? Yeah, we're close to time. Well, I'll be here the rest of the time, and I think these guys will be around, so you can catch us if you do want. Do you have something to? What would you like?
We do have some surveys that we would like you to do for this session, please. I can pass those out, and we'll get that. And thank you guys very much.